Why is it that some people tend to get lucky in everything they do? Projects, relationships, companies, they seem to just have things going their way and they seem to get much more lucky than most people. It just seems that life treats them better and that they are made to succeed. But what if they have an understanding of how the human mind works and use this to help them to create this luck? What if they have a system of psychology that helps them to design luck into everything they do? Charlie Mungers, he wrote about this in his book Poor Charlie's Almanack in the last chapter, The Psychology of Human Misjudgement. He calls this tendency the Lollapalooza effect. It basically means that powerful mental mechanisms are combined to amplify a specific goal. So let's look at one practical example of how this works. Do you remember the company Beats by Dr. Dre? They got purchased in 2014 for $3 billion by Apple. The founders of this company, they used several of these mental tendencies to create a hype around their product, and that made this company so valuable. So one of the founders, Dr. Dre, he was already an authority figure in the music industry, and most people assumed that if he would create headphones, they must be good, simply because he was such an authoritative figure. This is called the authority bias, and it means that if we see someone as an authority, we basically buy into what they say. The other co-founder, Jimmy Iovine, who was already a player in the music industry, he asked every successful person he met in the music industry, every artist, every famous person, if he could take a photo of them wearing his headphones. And this was long before influencer marketing started. But he knew that by being associated with these people, they would sell much more products. And this is called the social tendency. So basically, when a customer sees someone else using this product, they automatically want to buy it themselves also, because they don't want to be an outsider. They want to be part of the gang. And using this product can create a certain belonging among a group of friends, for example. The headphones were also quite expensive. This caused people to think that if they're really expensive, they also must be really good. What happens is that when prices are higher, that makes also fewer people to be able to afford them. So owning a pair of these headphones automatically showed status. So by having them, you automatically showed that you were a person who could afford these headphones. This of course creates an enormously profitable company that when prices are increased, that also increases demand and sales. And this is called the association tendency. When prices go up, people automatically assume that it has more value and that the product is better. And people want to be associated with expensive brands and high quality products because then they assume that others will see them as more valuable as individuals. And if someone had bought these expensive headphones, they were inclined to start using them a lot to justify this purchase. And when people start using this product a lot, it creates a habit that tends to stick of continuing to using this product. And this is called the consistency tendency. And companies want to create products that are habit forming and that are sticky so that people use them a lot. And many people might think that, oh, these founders must have been so lucky to stumble into these psychological tendencies in their product. And intelligent people, they don't just stumble into these by accident. They know these tendencies really well and design them into their products, to their companies, to their projects, which makes them more lucky. It creates more successful products and successful projects. And to an outside observer, it might seem that these people are just much more lucky and successful than others are. But in reality, these people know that when they combine several of these powerful mental mechanisms, they get more headwinds in life. It's more like cycling downhill while most people are cycling uphill. And they constantly look for opportunities where several of these models are lined up working in their favor. And that's when they go in to invest or start a company in this area or start a project in this field. If you want to learn more about each of these specific mental mechanisms, I've created a playlist where you can learn about each one specifically. I will put one link down in the description so you can find it easily there. Another very relatable example is if a man is out walking with his girlfriend, more women will gaze at him rather than if he's walking alone. And you might think, why is this happening? But this is actually a very clear example of several of these mental tendencies combined together. So I've found at least 6 of these mental tendencies working together in this particular example. The first one is social proof. And because other women will see that this attractive woman that he's out walking with is attracted to him, they will also now be attracted to this man. The second mechanism is authority bias. If the girlfriend is attractive and other people recognize her as an authority, they will want to do what she does and they will be attracted to who she is attracted to. Number 3 is reward response. And it basically means that other women now will see this man as valuable. They will see him as a prize they will try to win. And the fact that he walks next to his girlfriend confirms this. And number 4 is contrast mechanism. While other men walking alone appear to be lonely and less sought after, this man seems to be high in demand and more sought after simply because he's walking next to this beautiful woman. Number 5 is association tendency. If this woman is really attractive, other women will start seeing her and automatically assume that this man must have really great qualities as well because he's walking next to this beautiful woman. And number 6 is the availability misweighing tendency. So this means that we want things that are easily available to us. And if women see this man in their town, they automatically assume that there is a possibility that they could have this man. So for single men who are struggling to get a girlfriend, it would really make sense to try to be seen with beautiful women. So this would increase your perceived attractiveness, your status, and you will be more sought after by women. So this is an example of how you can create a Lollapalooza effect by combining several of these mental mechanisms to amplify and get a result that you want. And Charlie Mungers, who talked a lot about these tendencies, he constantly was looking for opportunities and companies and products where he saw Lollapalooza effects in action, because then he knew he would be much more lucky. And we should remember that Warren Buffett, he chose Charlie Mungers as a friend to have him as his mental sparring partner, so to speak. And this says that what Charlie Mungers was teaching was extremely valuable and extremely applicable in life. And that we should also do the same. We should apply these as much as possible in our life. Because if we can have just a few more Lollapalooza effects in our own life, if we can create a little bit more luck, we can probably have better finances, better relationships. And I can tell you that when I started to applying these in my life and in my businesses, I started to become more lucky. Now when I'm looking back at things, these tendencies have been a major factor to helping me to become financially independent. You simply cannot afford not applying these and not looking at these, because Charlie Mungers, he saw how the mind works, and he understood that if he could apply them and using them to his advantage, life would be much easier for him. We want to have a happy, effective life where we get extremely high output for the input of energy and time we put into projects. Using these tendencies and understanding them so we don't fall into negative spirals and negative Lollapalooza effects, but that we can find positive versions, our life will be much easier and much better. And in total there are 25 mental mechanisms that we need to learn. And I've created a playlist where I go through each one so that we can master and learn each of these mental mechanisms. And I can put a link in the description so you can find each video there. Awesome hanging out as always. It was an awesome adventure creating this video series about Charlie Mungers' mental mechanisms. So have a great day and see you next week.